And I'm award-winning author Tina Hogan Grant, and I am doing my Cuppa A Natter that I like to do every other Monday, twice a month. And tonight I have award-winning author Barbara Josselsohn joining me. How are you this evening?
Oh, Tina, it's so great to be here. It's spring. New York is nice and beautiful, and I'm just delighted. I'm so excited. I it's just a great opportunity to see you again and chat with you.
I am so happy to have you. You know, it's been a while. We were just talking about this before we went live. That what you have to just refresh my memory. I'm terrible. But what was the last book we talked about? Because you have been busy.
Yeah, but all good, right? Isn't this the favorite thing we love to do? We
That's
love to
right.
tell stories, right? What better way
Yeah.
to, right? I think we probably had talked about, I had that contemporary Lake Summers. It was the small town. And I'm trying to think of when I was here, but it was the Lilac House I
Okay.
spoke about. And that was a few years ago. And then decided to tackle historical. So I took a little, I was writing, but there was a break in publishing to do research and stuff. And then this is the first book. It's not, these are standalone books, but they're part of a series. And the first one came out almost a year ago. And the second one is the one we're going to talk about tonight, which came out.
We are gonna talk about them, but before we get into your books, I want to just say hi to a few of our readers that are popping up to come in here to join us. Again, I am talking to Barbara Josselsohn. If you have any questions for Barbara, go ahead and put
Karen.
them in the comments and we'll get to as many as we can. But Karen is here. We
Karen.
have Laura, she's here. And
Aw.
I'm sure you know a lot of these people.
Yes,
Connie is
yes,
here
Connie, right.
and Lori
And Lori,
Chasco,
my beautiful Lori. And
Carol
Carol.
Deegan, Virgie Lane.
I know these names.
Yes,
Yes,
and
and
Karen
Karen
Wright.
Wright. Ah,
She is here. Darlene Johnson is here. So, Barbara, before we get into your book, can you just, I mean, I know a lot of us, we all know you very well, but before we get into your books, can you just give a little background to yourself, whatever you want to share with the rest of the world?
okay, yeah, sure. I got into novel writing relatively late. I started out as a journalist, and I like to talk about how I spent a lot of time as a journalist writing about the mattress industry and going to mattress trade shows and testing out Sertas and Sealy's and Tempur-Pedics and all that kind of stuff and as a matter of fact, I got to be such an expert about mattresses, and I was so immersed in that industry that I remember so vividly one night having a dream of making a mattress from scratch.
Oh my
And, I,
goodness.
and when I woke up, my arms were really tired from all the work. And that's when I knew I really needed to get away from mattresses. So that's when I changed over, and I'd always wanted to be a novelist. I always wanted to be a fiction writer. I wrote my first book while my kids were very young. It took a long time. I think 15 years from idea to publication. A lot of ups and downs in between. But once at that point, I was hooked. I just love telling stories. I mean, right? This is what we do. We tell stories. And I can't think of a more fun way to spend a day than coming up with a story. So that's pretty much me. I live in Westchester, New York, about a half hour car ride to the city. I love the city. I love ballet. I love museums. I love yoga. And what else? And I have three wonderful adult children, one of whom is getting married. My son is getting married in November.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It's a beautiful fiance. We're so excited. And I got a great husband and a adorable rescue pup who's a schnauzer whose name is Albie. And we feel we're so lucky that he adopted us. We're very glad.
No, they do adopt us. You're
Yeah.
right. They adopt us. That's true. And congratulations to your son. Get married in November.
remember. We're all involved in, a lot of excitement and
So
very.
maybe next time I talk to you, you'll be a grandmother.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine? Wow. Wow. Well, I hope I don't know, well, whenever it happens, it'll be great. But if that's the goal, because I want to write a lot of books really quickly. So
Yeah, no.
we'll see.
Once that happens, it's over. No, I'm kidding. I have 2 beautiful grandkids.
Really?
I told my son when my grandkids are born, I'm done with you. It's all about the grandkids now.
Yeah, that's the reward for having kids, right? Isn't that what it is? The reward for having kids is having grandkids.
Exactly. Okay, let's talk about your latest book, The Lost Gift to the Italian Island. Do you have a copy for us?
I do. There it is.
I love this cover. It is absolutely gorgeous. I love the colors. I love the way it pops now. Did you have any say in this cover?
No, which is probably why it's good. I will say let's see, the first book in the series. So there's obviously a commonality. Okay. Whoa, in the
there we go.
graphics and the type and stuff. But there's something really beautiful, I think, about the colors, the green of her dress and the water. Yeah, I kind of and yeah. So no, I don't. The publisher, that's between the editor and publisher, and they'll say, "Oh, we've got it," and they'll show it to me, and they're so good that I'm always just delighted at what they come up with. So
it's beautiful, and I mean, I have it right here on my desktop right now, and I'm looking at it, and just the little details of the planes.
Yeah, right. It's really interesting. I mean, when my editor sends me the cover graphic, there's always about a page. Whoa, there we go. About a page and a half of an email, like just describing the process and each of the little, because the cover tells a story. It tells a story. The planes, the water, her, who she is, what she's looking for something. It's all, even the window. So it really, it's amazing.
My first question, of course, when we look at the cover is number 1, who is she?
Yeah.
And then number 2, my first thought was, and I have not read your book yet, but of course it's on my list. Does she know the pilots in one of those planes? That was my first question.
Now that's interesting.
Anyway,
I will not say, but clearly, there's something about those planes that we can't see her expression, but it's definitely gripping her attention.
So without giving anything away, can you just give us a little background? I got a few questions I'm just going to throw at you. Number 1, a little background to this book. And number 2, what inspired the series?
Yeah, I love to talk about that. When I was starting to think about what I wanted to do for my next project after I finished the contemporary series, the Lake Summers series, I was just looking through stories and, I kind of knew I always had it in me to write a World War II novel. And so I was just, just looking through stories. My editor was sending me some links, and I came across the story of this island off the coast of Brittany in France. And it was owned, it was acquired in the late, let's see, in the late 1800s by a Polish inventor. And he had commissioned, he was getting ready to retire. He had a daughter. He commissioned the building of this beautiful castle, and he would invite artists and other scientists and all kinds of people with dreams, and they would use it as kind of a retreat to do their, to further their work and just let their imaginations be inspired by the setting and the sea and everything. Anyway, it had to this beautiful castle, there was a really sad ending. The island was commissioned by the Nazis and damaged. Oh, wow. And the family met with a very sad ending. So I was very kind of moved by that story, and the fact that why do wonderful things end so soon? How is there hope when when the worst of human nature rears its ugly head? So that was really what I was thinking about. So I wanted to set something on this island. So what I ended up with, and it's just through a lot of, well, what would be this and how about that? You know how it goes, and what would happen here and what might happen here, and what if I gave her a sister, and what if, so anyway, I ended up with this story of three sisters in 1943 who head to this island to meet, now I fictionalized everything, but to meet this inventor. In this world, the inventor it has a medical device that they think can help their father, who's very sick. So they end up on this island in search of this inventor, and there's a family connection there, in search of this medical device to bring home, and they get caught up in the Nazi invasion.
Oh, wow.
Italy, and ultimately in the Nazi invasion of this island. And as a result, they're separated. The three sisters are separated and spend the rest of their lives trying to find one another. And so each book in the series, The Secrets, which was the first one, here it is. Right. This is the story of Annalisa, the oldest sister. She's a scientist too. She's a dreamer. The Lost Gift is about the middle sister, Julia. She is she's the beauty of the family, and I think it's not too much to give away to say that she finds herself within an enclave of working for the resistance. And then the third book, which will be out this summer, is about Amelia, who's the baby sister, the little one. And her life takes her escape from the island takes her in a whole different direction. And each of the books has a present day heroine who, for some reason, needs to find that person's story and ends up going back and uncovering what happened to each sister. And the book that's coming out in August, which is about the younger sister, is also going to tie everything together.
Wow. I love that each book focuses on one of the sisters.
One of the sisters.
I love that.
Yeah, and they each become my favorite while I'm writing their story. And then never. And then they then they say, okay, I've had my day in the sun. Go ahead, Barbara. You can deal with my other sister now. They're very polite, my characters.
We talk about writing our books. Now, for me, I don't plot my books. I'm a pantser. I let the characters lead the way and talk to me. How does it work for you? Do you plot your books, or do your characters talk to you?
I really do. I will say I like to think in terms of, and for me, I do think in terms of, I kind of open the computer up and I say, hey guys, come on out and play. What are you thinking? What's on your mind? And then they come in and go like, I have the greatest idea. What if I do that? And then the other character goes, awesome, because I can do that, because I won't know what you did. And, and we kind of, role play and improvise. But I will say that, the books have been written pretty quickly because they're all tied together. And so for these books, I've been less of a pantser than is my normal way, because I'm on deadline. I mean, you know what that's like too, it's just this difference between, writing as it comes and knowing that somebody's expecting that manuscript to be on their desk. And so I've learned not to lose the fun despite the deadline, and not to lose the spontaneity, the openness to new things. I mean, that's really, at least for me, being on deadline can sometimes be like, oh my God, I got to go straight there, no goofing around anybody.
Right. Focus.
But then it's not fun, and it's also not creative, and it's not so, getting that balance. But I think what makes it so fun is just, sitting down and not really knowing what's going to happen. But when you know your characters so well and you've put them in tense situations, right? Mm-hmm. They surprise you with what they're made of.
Yeah, they do. And when you wrote, these are 3 books that you wrote in how much time?
Let's see. I started this series in the beginning of 2022.
Wow.
2022. So, so 2022, I didn't publish anything. That was all writing. But then these came out within months of each other. So
Mm-hmm.
I was still writing. I was writing this one before this one even came out so that they could be published very close, close within just a couple of months. So I started the series in 2022 and I will conclude it in 2024. This year
Wow.
in August will be the end of this.
And this is a new genre for you. This is historical fiction.
Yeah.
So this is a new genre. Again, a couple of questions I'm going to just put together. But number one, the research. I mean,
Yes.
that alone, I mean, I love historical fiction, but for me to write it is a big no because the research side of it scares me. So number one, how did you like doing the research? And number two, will you write more historical fiction?
It's fun. And I will say, I just want to point out in case anybody's listening and is kind of like, wait, I don't get it, is that the real story took place in France, but I moved everything over to Italy. So, because you just sometimes you got to listen to your gut, right? This felt to me like this story, that was the setting that was going to work. As far as the research goes, I guess it's just about, I really loved the research. I back in 2022, I took a couple of courses on Italian history during World War II. And as well as reading a lot of books, and it's, I really felt the history was very, you have to be, it just depends what everybody's different. And for me, the research was really interesting. I felt like I was in school again, which is a good place for me to be. And I felt like, somehow the reason, it depends on what, the research was just part of the parameter. We set a parameter, right? This is the world that we live in. And sometimes for people who are writing fantasy or whatever, they're creating a world and they're creating the rules. And in historical, the rules are there. And I found that kind of like a, safety guardrails, knowing enough about what happened, I had my marching orders, so to speak, and I just couldn't, it was there was kind of safety in that in doing, but you have to do enough research to get to the point that you feel like, okay, I really know where I can go and where I can't. So that, and that said, I do have another book that will be coming out in 2025. I think I'm going to stick with historical for a little while.
Really?
I really, I just, it feels right.
You enjoy it and you love it, then you found your niche, it sounds like.
Right. I think so. I think this is, that feeling. I think this is where I'm meant to be. I know you feel that too. With your books and where you are. And I kind of feel like I've been leading toward, I found my genre, I found my place, I found my,
That's wonderful.
Spot. So, I like you.
Sounds wonderful. I want to just pop up a few questions and comments. Karen's asking, what genre won't you read?
What genre won't I read? Okay. I think that, I do read everything. I have friends who write, I actually have a friend who writes horror, and I would have said that's a genre I won't read. But because my friend, actually a mentor, wrote it, I read it. It literally kept me up at night. The name of it is Her Father's Daughter by T.M. Dunn, if anybody really loves, thriller horror. But I don't think I would choose to read that genre again, but I'm glad I read it.
Okay.
And that's probably it. I teach classes. I teach at Sarah Lawrence College writing classes, and inevitably I get, a lot of people are writing fantasy these days. And I would have thought that wasn't my genre for me. But when I start to get into these, crazy setups and amazing worlds, it's just so much fun. But that's, but I think the answer to the question is probably, horror is not really.
Horror is one for me too. I just can't do the gory.
Yeah.
I just can't. And looking over my shoulder, I mean, nothing against people that write horror. We all have our genres that we love. But for me, I don't want to go to bed with one eye open, you know.
Yeah, that was it. And I remember I went to a panel discussion where there were horror writers, and they kind of talked, I mean, about how interesting it is for them to go into a really weird place in their head, in their mind, they're just like explore. And, I understood the feeling. It is exciting to think about something you never thought about before, but still.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And the other one for me too is I mean, I've never read any, so I might be wrong, but vampire and werewolves just don't do it for me. They just don't.
Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll pick up one of those books and I'll be surprised. I don't know, but as of now, I've got too many books to read to start something new. I really do. We've got a couple of latecomers who want to pop up and say hi. We got Janet here. She says hello.
Hey, Janet. Hi.
And then Elaine says she loves your
Elaine.
city. Hi.
Elaine, I'm so grateful. Elaine, I don't know how she, a lot of people read a lot of books and speak so eloquently and beautifully about them, posting and whatever. So thanks, Elaine. It's great to see you. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah,
It's just become, you know how you must have this way too, that I can't believe I've never met some of these people because I feel like I know them.
Yeah.
Like they're my good friends. And
that's exactly how I feel. And I have my group, as you know, and I feel like most of these people here, I if I met them on the street, I would know exactly, what to say to them because I feel like I know them.
Right,
and
right.
I would like to meet every single one of them in person.
Exactly.
I really would. I appreciate their support and reading our books and telling others about it. Word of mouth is the best.
It's everything.
Advertising. It really is. Virgie has a question for you. She wants to know, does your family read your books?
They do. Well, they do and they don't. I think that I it's a lot to ask them to keep reading the book. My future daughter-in-law reads my books, and which is really nice. And my daughter's reading my book. My son has read and looked at them. My husband's looked at them and read them too. But it's they're very supportive and they love what I do. And but not everybody can love to read romance, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I've been really lucky. I have a great family, and they're really supportive, and they're very proud of me, which is so great.
They should be.
They feel like, oh, that's what Mom was doing back in that office all those years when we had no idea. So, yeah.
When she neglected us.
Yeah, right. We were playing with scissors or something. No.
Right, exactly. Lori has a question. She's asking, what would you do if you weren't writing?
Writing. Well, my dream would have been to be a ballet dancer. That's what but that really that's not realistic. That's just not a dream, but that's just a dream. But what would I be doing when I'm not writing? What am I doing? I'm playing with the dog or having lunch with friends. And, yoga is a big thing. Pickleball now, I'm kind of enjoying, but I can't really think, what would a career be? I mean, like
mattresses?
I'm sorry?
Mattresses?
Right, I'd be making mattresses maybe I'd still be writing about mattresses. Yikes. That's a really scary thought. Oh boy. Yeah.
Okay. Karen's asking, how did you come up with your character names?
I mean, I know that everybody has their own way of doing it. I think that there are times that it just comes to me, like Julia in the book. It's spelled Giulia, Julia. That character was always Julia, and yeah, and that she just wasn't. Tori is the present day heroine in The Lost Gift, and she was Tori from the beginning too. But that doesn't often happen. It doesn't always happen. And I will, I'll if my character, I'll figure out the year that the character was born, and then I'll Google popular names of girls born in, 19 whatever, and just go straight down the list until one kind of stands out. And usually a few will feel like they're okay, and then I'll live with them. So sometimes in a draft, the same character will have like 6 different names, and then I'll finally figure out which one. But I think that's kind of like, it's just a feeling, right? Something
It is. It
that
is.
feels
Yeah.
right. And sometimes, I mean, I try not to have the same characters whose names begin with the same letter, right? Because that can be confusing. And I've been asked to change that sometimes. And so that can become hard when I really feel like I really nailed the names, but somebody's got to give up their name and be named something else, because they're too close. And so, so then I just live with it for a while. But it's really important, these names, right? It really.
I think so. And I also try not to use names that are hard to pronounce. If I can't pronounce the name, then I'm not going to expect my readers to.
You're right. You're right. And I probably need to spend a little more time with that. It's true, because I know as a reader, you're getting a story and you're really into it. But then you keep coming upon that name that you don't really know.
Yeah. Or you just stop to try and pronounce it. So
Yeah.
for me, I have to be able to pronounce it with ease and not think about it, so my readers don't have the issue too. And then the other thing I try not to do, and it's getting harder when you write more books, you're like, did I use that name before?
I know. Yeah. And you really don't want, you don't want to repeat the name. Absolutely.
No.
I know, that's funny, right? I sometimes
I should really keep a list from all the books I've written of the names I've used in alphabetical order. That made my life a lot easier.
I know, right?
I don't know. So
I have this funny story. What is it? It's in the first book. It's in Secrets. A good friend of mine, her daughter had just gotten married while I was writing that book. And her daughter's name was Erica, and her husband's name is Ryan. And I guess they just stuck in the back of my head. And, what is it, a year and a half later, when this book comes out, one of the main characters is Erica, and another big character is Ryan. And when she read it, she said they were hysterical laughing. And I didn't even realize it. It must have hit me in a way when I saw them. And they're not even married or anything. It's just, one of them felt like an Erica and one of them felt like a Ryan. And I had to have been influenced by that wedding. But could you imagine, you're reading along and then suddenly you're like, oh my God, you're my husband.
Yeah, character names, believe it or not, also take some thinking. They really do.
Yeah.
It's not just a matter of, first name that comes to your mind. So staying along, my other question with that one is the titles. Beautiful titles for your books.
Thanks.
Did you know the titles?
The titles I can't take credit for, or my editor comes up with the titles, and the publishers that's for them. I can hate, if I didn't like, I really liked what they were doing. They knew they wanted this ongoing, them to look like, it had to look like it's part of a series, but yeah, that's almost part of, that goes hand in hand with the cover. It's about telling a story, either in the bookstore or online, and the, virtual shelf or whatever, telling a story between the cover and the title, to tell the reader, to find the reader who wants to read these books. So yeah, I don't have, but I really loved them.
They're beautiful titles. Now, did you know the titles before you started writing, or
no, we just book one, book two, and then the title usually, I'm trying to think. Sometimes the draft isn't completely done, but once, I know my editor knows what the book's about, I know what the book's about, close to be, she'll come back with the title usually she'll show me the cover and the title together, because they've kind of just done a whole mock-up of it.
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I don't think titles are my strongest, so I feel really, I'm lucky that.
Yeah, because of me, I have the story, but I have on a few of my books, I have no idea what the title's going to be. Absolutely none. But I'll just continue writing the story. I know where the story is going, or the characters are telling me, and it will just come to me while I'm writing.
Really? Wow.
It'll just come to me. So that was works to me. If I try and think of a title first, I'll lose track of the story.
Yeah.
Then I'm trying to make the story fit the title. And for me, that doesn't work. And the book I'm writing now, the title came to me a few weeks ago, and it's Secrets Told. And it's perfect. It's
that's great. No.
Yeah. So that's what works for me. So I didn't know that your editor came up with your titles.
Yeah, she does. It's part of it for them. It's part of their job, at the publisher, between the graphic, the cover designer and yeah.
Right. That's excellent. Mm-hmm. All right, my dear. Now we are in for a treat.
Oh.
Because rumor has it that you are going to read for us.
Yes, I would love to read a little section of the book of The Lost Gift. So I'm going to put on my glasses. But this is, this is toward the beginning of The Lost Gift. Julia, who is my heroine from 1943, she's just left the big castle, and she has been on a kind of a raft/boat in trying to save herself, basically, and she's all alone, and she's been out overnight, and she comes upon this other little island. She was trying to get to the mainland. The ultimate goal was to get to America, but she finds herself on this island, on this other little tiny island in the distance from the big castle, and a couple of children approach her. She has no idea where she is or what the story is, but she's suddenly kind of accosted by 3 children, a 12-year-old girl and 2 5-year-olds who appear to be twins, who kind of come upon her and say, "Who are you and why are you on our island?" And I will also just add that she's also injured. She injured herself on her way out, so she's kind of oozing blood from her foot.
Oh my goodness.
While all this is going on, and she hasn't eaten or had anything, so she's dehydrated. She's not in her best shape. So they've just asked her who she is. At the sound of the young voice, Julia scrambled to her feet, remembering to keep most of her weight on her good foot and off the one that was oozing blood. Holding her hand just above her forehead to shade her eyes from the sun, she surveyed the line of trees on a slope set back from the curved shoreline, trying to spot the source of the question. A moment later, a figure emerged between 2 of the trees and made its way toward her, skipping among the bushes and rocks. It was a girl, not quite as old as Julia's younger sister, Amelia, more like 12 or 13. Although she wasn't dressed like a regular 12-year-old girl, she was wearing boyish blue overalls cuffed at the ankles and a short-sleeved white shirt. Her feet were bare. Her long hair was loose and cascading over her shoulders. A row of golden brown bangs lined her forehead. A moment later, 2 little boys, also dressed in overalls, no more than 5 years old, emerged from behind the trees and stumbled along behind the girl. Julia stammered. She felt too tired and weak to formulate a sensible response, and besides, she didn't know how to answer the question. What was she doing here? "Who are you?" the girl persisted. "Is my father expecting you?" Julia shook her head. "No." "That's okay. Don't worry," the girl said, as though concerned that she'd come across as mean and had unintentionally frightened Julia. "Sometimes people come who aren't expected. He's okay with strangers." "As long as they're not bad people," one of the little boys put in. "Daddy hates bad people, like German people." "No, not all German people," the other one said. "Just the bad ones, the ones that don't belong here." "Quiet, both of you," the girl said, waving a hand at them as though she was the sergeant and they were her infantrymen. "Now, like I was saying," she said, turning back to Julia, Sometimes people can get a message to him ahead of time to tell him they're arriving, but sometimes they can, and that's okay. He'll allow people assure he doesn't know, but he likes to know if you're expected or not. And if not, he likes to know who sent you. So, who sent you here to our island? She demanded. Julia stammered. No one had sent her, and she had no interest in staying. I came here by mistake. Is there a way for me to speak to your father? Where are the guards? The stockier of the two boys exclaimed. You can't see him until we let you through. Yeah, we let you through, the smaller one agreed. Don't worry, we don't think you're dangerous, the girl said, waving a stick. We've been watching you from behind there. She pointed to some trees halfway up the slope. We like to spy on people, the first boy said, and the other put his fist over his mouth and giggled. The girl waved them off again. We weren't even sure if you were coming here or not because of the way you were steering. The boat was going all over the place. It was pretty funny to watch. That's why we didn't get our dad. Most people come here directly. You must not be very experienced with boats. No, I'm not, Julia agreed. She wondered who the people this girl typically greeted were. But here you are, the girl said, and we want to know where you came from and why. Again, Julia couldn't answer right away, which surprised her. She was usually good with kids, with all people, actually. Sociable, that's how people described her. But now she felt too lightheaded and foggy to hold a conversation. Eventually, she responded with the only words that came to mind. I'm lost. I've escaped. Escaped? You mean from Parisi Island? We heard everyone was running away because the Nazis showed up. Mama's scared that our island might be next. Because Parisi Island isn't very far. Papa shushed her, but I think Mama was thinking that they were coming since everyone knows the Nazis love capturing places. Papa's not scared of anyone, the larger boy exclaimed. He's braver than any old Nazi, the little one added. The girl scowled and turned to Julia. Did you come face to face with any Nazis? Where's the rest of your family? And, oh no, you're all bloody. Julia looked down. The dark spot on her shoe had spread, and the sand in front of her foot was spotted red. The sight made her stomach roll. She felt herself sway, feeling another spurt of blood emerge from her toe, and a wave of nausea jolt her. Her line of vision was narrowing. Her arms trembled, and her head started to spin. Are you okay? The girl said. My dad's in the house. He's a doctor, but you don't look like you can even walk. No, I'm okay, Julia said. She didn't want to scare the girl, but the word doctor felt like a gift. She needed a doctor, someone to help stop the bleeding. The house is up the hill, the girl said. It's not a very steep hill, but it is a little bit. She came closer and nudged her body under Julia's elbow to support her. I'm Marilyn, the girl said. I have to get to America, Julia mumbled. You what? I have to. The darkness grew larger.
That sounds really good.
Thanks.
Oh, you have my interest.
So,
oh, wow.
So
I
she's
love that.
Figure out who this family is that's hiding on this little island.
Great reading, too. I love the emotions in the reading. I love that.
Thanks. Those little boys, they just get to me.
I'm going to put some comments up. One person saying, wow.
Oh, that's nice.
And then we have another, oh, wow.
Aaron, thank you.
And it sounds like a great story from Lisa. Virgie says, awesome. The comments are going quick. I'm trying to catch them. Darlene says, that sounds good. Elaine says, thank you, Barbara. Love that read. You're fabulous.
I love it.
And then Lori says, your reading was really good.
Love you, Lori.
And Barbara says, thank you for reading. Fabulous read. Thank you so much.
You know, there's two things I wanted to show you, and I'm really sorry.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. This just came this week, and I'm really excited to show this, that I have a French translation of the first book.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think it translates as Island of Betrayals. And it's really exciting. It's all and you know, you can see it's kind of interesting because evidently the French like their books big, if you can see.
Oh yeah, I see the covers.
No. Well, this is the first one, so this is the same picture.
Oh, I see.
It's just bigger. And the cool thing is, It's very exciting. And I've started getting tagged on Instagram by French bloggers, which is cool, you know, except I had no idea what they were saying. So at first I was just like, merci, merci. And then
Merci
I was like,
beaucoup.
I hope it's not like, I hate this book. Merci, merci. But then I started translating. And then I translated, you know, my own thing, which was thank you for sharing this or whatever. And I started writing that in.
So your
Merci.
publishers did that. They're the ones that
They,
got it translated.
yeah, they have a really strong, my publisher is Bookouture. It's an imprint of Hachette, and it's based in London. And so I actually was in London in January and met my editor for the first time, which was really wonderful. It was great. But they have a very strong sub rights and foreign rights department, so that's really great. They I also think I also have a Dutch deal.
Nice.
So yeah, the foreign rights is exciting. That's really, really exciting. So I wanted to share that I just got this, you know, this box came with books, and I was like, I'm not expecting any books. And then I see like the return address is like, or the address says like États-Unis. So I was like, this is from France. So
I wonder if you'll get the German rights too.
you know, I wonder. I mean, there's the international book fairs are twice a year. There's one I think in London and one in Frankfurt, and yeah, you know, who knows? I hope so. That would be great. But it's really exciting. It was unexpected, and
Oh
you know,
yeah.
to kind of get this thing. And then the other thing I wanted to share with you is this is really funny. My daughter, one of my daughters, who's read the books, this family comes. The people who live in this house, in this, you know, where Julia arrives, she kind of gets swept into this family, and there's another visitor who comes. And his name is Luca. And he has a relationship with this family that you kind of find out. But he also comes from a family that owns a vineyard. And as I was talking about research, I was researching, and I have a glass of Alianico, which is a delicious, which I never knew of, red wine that's produced in Italy. And one of the lines, and my daughter's very funny about this because one of the lines is the mother, he gives her a bottle of Alianico, and the mother says, Luca, Alianico, my favorite. And we've just been like enjoying this. So now every time I open a bottle of wine, my daughter's like, Luca, Alianico, my favorite. And we say that line over and over again. So it's really fun.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Now, book 3. Can you refresh us on the title again? I'm sorry.
Well, we don't have a title yet.
Oh, that's why I didn't know it. Okay,
Right. It will be coming out in August. And I think by next month, by April, I'll have a title. It'll be up for pre-order, you know, I'll have a cover, all those things. I just have a couple more weeks before all that kind of comes together. So I don't have a title yet, but I can tell you it's about the youngest sister and what happened to her when the sisters separated. And it also kind of ties the whole series together.
How exciting. I'm excited for you. Now, how many books have you written total?
I have 7 out, and the third one of this series will be the 8th book, my 8th book.
Wow, you have been busy. And your first book.
As have you, Tina. You have 1,000 books.
I wish. I'm working on book number, I think 16.
I knew that. Gosh, really? Yeah.
But what was I going to say? When was your first book published?
The first book was 2015.
2015. So that's great. Now, can we just talk briefly on your previous books, other than this series?
Yes, yeah.
Just to let readers know what else you've been writing in the genre. Yes. Do you have any of those close by?
I do. I do. I have them close by. Right? Let's see. Okay. Let's see. My very first book is, where is it? This one, I've got this. Oh, here it is. My very first book was in 2015. The printing is larger in that book. It was The Last Dreamer. This was the first book that I ever wrote. So, you know, I don't know if you remember, you know, your first book is kind of a little of a mess, but you love it. Love it. This was a book I wrote. This one and I'll go through these pretty quickly. I wrote this book when my kids were really young and I had, left the mattress business to to raise my kids. And I was kind of saying, will I ever go back? Will I ever have another career? Will I ever? And so that was kind of the central problem. The protagonist in this book, she wants to get back into the swing of things. Her kids are getting a little older. She happens upon they tell her she can get back in the journalism game if she comes up with a scoop, and she happens upon the teen idol, like the David Cassidy of her childhood, who's now living nearby as a hermit. And she kind of feels, if I can pull him out of his shell and get a scoop, I'll be able to get my entry back into publishing. So she kind of engineers a little of a trick to get him to open up to her, and then she's kind of living a double life, part as her parenting, but part as like she presents herself as like a New York Times investigative reporter. So he wants, and basically the two of them kind of trying to figure out, they're both people searching for chapter 2 of their lives. And,
wow.
So that was that. The next books I wrote, the 4 books that I wrote, which were based in this little small town called Lake Somers, fictional town in the Adirondacks mountain area of New York, where they're contemporary, and they were kind of all about, contemporary women. They're all moms who are kind of facing a crossroads, I guess, in their lives, and need to figure out how to continue, how to kind of navigate their way while still being true to who they are. So the Lilac House kind of talked about my love of ballet.
I love this book. I've read this one.
Thank you. Thanks. This was about a former ballet dancer. And then you'll see again, they're all kind of the covers kind of have
both very good books. Highly recommend.
Oh, thank you. Thanks. And then the other ones, the Bluebell Girls, the Lily Garden, and then the Cranberry Inn, which was a fun book because it was a Christmassy book.
So, I missed that one.
Yeah. Yeah. This was kind of fun. This takes place like it just has a that kind of holiday-ish background going on. So that was like the contemporary series, those 4 books, and then moved into the historical.
Now, do you have the same publisher for both books?
Yeah. The Last Dreamer, the very first one, was a different publisher. That was Lake Union in 2015. Then I guess it was in 2019 that I found a better match with Bookouture, and that's where I've been. So and that and I've really found a home there. I mean,
it sounds like you have a fabulous relationship with them.
Yeah, I really do. I do, and I've been very lucky. My editor gets me, I get her. It's just that's a really special relationship, right, with an editor and a writer.
Oh yeah.
So
excellent. Now, when your books come out, do you do anything to celebrate?
Well, I had some Aliana go. One came out. I have got a great family who, there's always champagne and flowers and Italian chocolates and stuff, kind of book related treats. So yeah, really. And I teach. I'm very involved with my local library. I was on the board of the library. I now teach writing workshops at the library. I kind of help run, as a volunteer, what we call the Writer Center, which is organizing programming and stuff for local writers to help support and promote local writers. And so I usually do a party at my library, and my local bookstore, brings the books to sell, and we, get really yummy themed treats and cookies and stuff. So that's what I usually, now lately, I mean, I guess I did that for Secrets in May. I didn't really do that because, Christmas is December's a really hard time. And, we those parties were, it just was, but I'll probably do something this year with the completion of the series. Yeah.
Oh,
I
great.
mean,
Now,
it's to
do you
celebrate,
ever
right?
do any kind of book tours where you travel out of state or go
I,
to other
you know,
conventions or
I
festivals?
haven't really done a lot of that. You know, I mostly, I haven't really traveled far. I do some travel up to Connecticut or, Long Island. Long Island's important because it's kind of close to where we live
Right.
on the water, and that I'm able to, there's a lot of Long Island locations in the books. I haven't really done any. You know what? I have found that I can meet more people and interact more online. I mean, I can go to a
The
bookstore,
reach, the
12
reach is
people
amazing.
maybe, or I can, be with you and be with some other Facebook reader groups, and just, and
Hmm.
just, see a lot of people. So I don't know. That's it. I guess, I don't know.
It's a tough decision. I mean, I'm trying to do just one big festival a year. Like this year is going to be the LA Book Festival.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But other than that, I stay local
Yeah.
because number one, it's not cheap to travel.
To do the
It's
travel.
not
Yeah.
cheap to travel, especially nowadays. And as much as I would love to branch out, and I would love to one day just do a road trip and visit different states. But it will take money. It will take time. I won't be writing during that time. There's a lot
Right.
of variables that you have to, think about. We have animals. Who's going to take care of
Right.
my animals when I'm
Right.
on the road? Because my husband, Gordon, of course, will want to come with me. He's not going to let me take off
Yeah,
and go
right.
cross country on my own.
Exactly. Uh-huh. How far are you from LA? You're not too
LA,
far,
we
right?
are 2 hours.
Oh,
Two
not
hours
too far.
north.
Oh, are you
2 hours north.
north or
Hmm?
east? Are you north of LA or east of?
Yeah, if you know where Magic Mountain is, we're 45, 50 miles north of Magic
I
Mountain,
see.
just past Gorman.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Like everyone knows where Gorman is, and but
Right, right, right. Yeah.
but yeah, we're about 2 hours, which is nice for the LA Book Festival because I don't have to book a hotel.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Come
Yeah.
home, and my son lives down that way too, so I can always spend the night with him too. So
Huh.
but if I go, if I want to go to there's a big convention in Vegas every year. There's another one in San Diego. The further I get away, okay, I got to think about hotel rooms. Got to think about pet sitters. Got so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's exhausting. It's
Hmm.
you
And
know.
you also got to have a pile of books.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. Yeah.
But
Hmm.
I love meeting readers, but what we can do and what we want to do are two different things. It really.
As with everything in life, right?
Mhm,
Really
exactly,
true.
exactly.
Hmm.
But anyways, this hour is going by so quickly. But I have a few more
Yes.
questions I want to throw at you. Not throw at you. That's so bad.
Right. Toss them over.
Um, Number one is you're a writer full time. This is your
In
full
addition to
time.
because I teach, I am, but I also teach, so I guess that's,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, when do you write every day?
I
And
do
can
write
you
it.
just give us a little rundown of, an every day, one of your days, how your day
I
goes?
usually, a lot of the advice has always been right in the mornings, right? And I tried, I really tried, because when people give me advice, I try to follow it, but I have felt that my creative juices really kick in around 3 in the afternoon, and that's my most productive from 3 to maybe 7 or 8. So I kind of have decided, why fight it? You gotta, why fight it? So
Hmm.
my mornings, I usually schedule classes that I teach or coaching in the mornings. If I take I go to the gym a lot. I'll do it in the morning, walk the dog in the morning. And then I really, I'll answer emails and do things like that. So then, I think around 1 or 1:30, I usually really try to buckle down and start the work. And, depending on where I am and how inspired I am and how close to, the end I am, I might go till 5 or I might go till 7.
Okay.
And so that's me. And as I'm getting closer to a deadline, I usually like ramp up and will work 7 days a week.
Now,
But
do you set a word count every day, or you just keep going until?
I when I'm drafting, I do have, I try to do, when I'm drafting, I do I like to complete a chapter.
Okay.
So that's like 10 to 12 pages. And
Right.
I really like to write, I'll feel really good if I get a chapter done. Then in revisions, I mean, it's funny how your mind plays these games, but
Mhm.
like in drafting, it should be a chapter a day. In first revisions, it should be 2 to 3 chapters a day. And then, when I'm really just going through to catch errors, I should be able to get through like 60 pages a day. So I do set goals. I definitely do set
Yeah.
goals.
Yeah. I do set goals just to keep me focused and in line. Because
Right.
otherwise I'll be out there kayaking, I'll be out riding, my bikes. It's like I gotta set my goals every day. And I have a little list. But my problem is I'll have a list with 5 or 6 items. By the end of the day, I've added 5 more.
Oh, no, you can't do that.
It's
But
like
I
a
will
losing
say,
battle.
when I am drafting, I know what you're saying about kayaking, except for me, it's more like I'll do a sentence and it'll be so good that I have to go get a cookie, or something
Yeah,
like
you got to reward yourself. You really do. All
that.
right. Final question of the night before we wrap this up and talk about the giveaway. But for writers out there that want to become published, I love asking my guests, what advice do you give them?
Okay, a couple of things. First of all, never give up. It's really writing a book, writing a novel is really hard. It's really hard. So never give up. Number two would be to get a community. Find your people, whether it's a writing group, a writing circle. As a teacher, I can say I really do believe um, in classes when because there are things that can be taught. There are things, some of inspiration, creativity, persistence, that stuff is kind of innate, but how to craft a scene, how to develop a character, how to pacing, those are things that are taught, and so, but find your, and find your, and then find your community, and feel free to change, maybe one semester you take a class, then 3 years you take off to do your own stuff, and
Yeah.
then you find a developmental, be flexible about how you approach it. And that comes to my third point, is that you must be your own advocate. You need to know what you need, and you need to know how to find it, and you need to ask for help. So if you're just starting out, you need to know where to get the resources, whether it's a book and then sometimes if your writing critique group is just taking too much energy and you're spending too much time on other people's work, and you need to take 6 months to just be your own writer, then pull out. You just
Mhm.
don't get stuck, because life is short and time goes fast, and it's really good to always be watching how you're spending your writing time, and make sure it's the best that you can
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. I love it.
do.
Um, and you are doing a giveaway, so I want to thank you for that. Can
Of
you let our
course.
readers know what the giveaway
I'm
is?
going to be giving away a signed paperback copy of The Lost Gift to the Italian Island.
And that's the first one, right? Or
That's
no,
the
that's
second one. That's the one. But they're all standalone, so you don't need
then
to
we can
read
read
book
them.
one to read book two. They're completely, yeah.
Okay, so a signed copy of that. And I do want to mention your books. Are they available everywhere? Kindle, Nook? How are your books distributed?
Yeah, my books, are, um, let's see, they're available on Kindle, available on Amazon, available online, Barnes and Noble. If you want to buy it through a bookstore, you can do that. It's possible it won't be on the shelf, but they can order it.
They can order it for you.
Yes. So if
Yeah.
you ever want, we're all big fans of independent bookstores, right? And I always send people to my local bookstore, which has been great to me. But yeah, you can call and
And they'll order it. And what about Kindle Unlimited? Is it available on KU?
Kindle Unlimited. All my books are Kindle Unlimited. Yes, they
Excellent.
are. Yep.
Good to know. All
Yeah.
right, so we did not discuss this before we went live, but the giveaway, thank you so much for the generous giveaway, by the way. It is for US only
Yes.
because shipping outside the state is horrendous.
Yeah.
Now, did you want to pick someone from the chat right now, or do you want me to pick it for you after the chat?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you pick. You pick, and that would be great.
Okay.
Just let
All
me
right. I will do that for you, and I will tag you
know. Okay,
in
great.
the group and on my author page. And I know we're all busy, but I know I didn't get to everyone's questions. If you have a chance, just check out the video and see if there's any questions you have time to answer.
Mhm.
And then I'm also doing my regular giveaway, which is a $5 Amazon gift card. And in order to be entered for that, you need to go to my author page, tinahogangrant.com. No, on Facebook. What am I doing? Go to my author page
right.
Facebook
Mm-hmm.
and share this video with your favorite groups on Instagram, wherever you want to share it. And do tag me. That way I know that you shared it. And you will be entered into the $5 Amazon gift card.
That's great.
Barbara, this has been, as always, a fantastic chat.
Yeah. Oh, I loved it. I can't believe it's an hour's gone already. Wow. What do you know? It was so fun, Tina. Thank you for having me.
Always. And I want you back anytime when that next book comes out. We'll get you back on. And keep us posted on, after this series, what you're working on.
I will. I definitely will. I will. I can't wait.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.